Here we go. We're bringing you to one of the famous landmarks in the U.S., especially in San Francisco, the Alcatraz. Hi everyone, welcome to another travel video, and this is my third of the San Francisco travel series, and this time we are in Alcatraz. I've been wanting to go to Alcatraz for years since I arrived here in the U.S., and finally it happened. So here we are bringing you there. This island in the heart of San Francisco Bay, just a mile and a quarter from the sights and sounds of one of the world's most beautiful cities, has been used for a fort, a lighthouse, and a prison. I'm showing you here a miniature image of the whole Alcatraz Island. Today it is one of the national parks at the Golden Gate, and the National Park Service is working to make it accessible to visitors, preserve its buildings, protect its birds and other wildlife, and showcase its history. A very important tip before going there is to buy your tickets way ahead, as it always sells out. Ticket prices for adults 18 to 61 is $41. Also for juniors 12 to 17, also $41. Kids 5 to 11 years old, $25, and infants and toddlers are not allowed on the island. Here we are getting ready to go on board the ferry. I'm so excited. I'm here with my cousin Osil and her beautiful daughters Nicole and Janine, and of course my mom. Here we are. Thanks again, Osil and family, for making this visit a reality for me and my mom. For me, I've been wanting to visit Alcatraz for the longest time, so now it's happening, so here it is. I'm so excited. I'm a little kid now. By the way, the ticket is all inclusive, includes the ferry ride and the tour inside the prison cell. We just arrived at the island, and this is the dock area. The original dock was completed on this site in 1854 and has been modified and enlarged several times since then. The ferry ride was about 15 minutes long, and ferries leave Alcatraz Island roughly every half hour from the time of arrival. Opposite the dock is this 4-story building. Was once a military barracks or apartments. This building was intended to house soldiers and cannons to guard the dock. It's also the area where you can get some tour information and brochures. The ground floor of this building is where the theater, bookstore, and exhibits are located today. It was built between 1865 and 1867. The restored guard tower is a remnant of the federal prison era. Its height and manned by armed guards whose clear view made it escape by prisoners extremely difficult. So from the barracks and the apartments, we're going in, continuing our tour, and our next stop is this guardhouse and Sally Port. Built in 1857, the guardhouse is the oldest building on the island. Soldiers enter the fort through the guardhouse and its fortified Sally Port, a passageway with a heavy iron-studded wooden door at each end. It is the first line of defense against enemy landing parties. This building right here is the Post Exchange and Officers Club. Built in 1910, was the local general store, a place for soldiers and their families to buy food and personal goods. The building was one of several destroyed by fire in June 1970. This small building on the top of the guardhouse and Sally Port is the military schoolhouse. This building was built by the Army in the early 1920s, designed in the Mission Revival style. Its graceful lines earned its nickname, the Chapel, According to available records, the first floor served as a shoe shop, while the second floor houses a hat factory. In 1934, when it became a federal prison, the building was remodeled into housing for bachelor guards. Now we're going up a small hill and we're passing by the officers' row. Used to be a beautiful garden here with flowers and shrubs and trees. I don't see a lot of flowers, but still nice shrubs in here. And there's on the left side here is the warden's house. The warden's house commanded the island, an impressive mission revival style home. It had 17 large rooms and windows that framed the sweeping views of San Francisco. Built in 1920s, it was originally the home of the military prison commandant. It was destroyed by fire. And here we are, we're about to arrive at the Lighthouse. In 1852, the gold rush era was in full swing and ship traffic to San Francisco was steadily increasing. Alcatraz Island, squarely in line with the passage through the Golden Gate, was the logical place for a lighthouse. On June 1, 1854, the lighthouse keeper lit the oil lamp for the first time, making the Alcatraz light the first one in operation on the Pacific coast. Wow! Until now, operated by the U.S. Coast Guard, the light continues to shine. Now this is the most important part of the tour. We're actually going inside the cell house. First, stop at the Warden's office. Looks a little creepy here, but this is the Warden's office. Interesting information right here. Tools of the trade. Look at all this guard officers are using to keep the prisoners in check. Some of the worst criminals were imprisoned here in Alcatraz. This is the visiting area. There's about 4 slots here where just you can sit and talk with your visitors. No phones, no nothing, just right here. Now here we go. We are entering the cell house, the famous cell house that I've seen in many movies. This is it. In 1907, the War Department of the United States decided that Alcatraz would no longer serve as a defensive fort, but would instead be used as a military detention barracks. And then plans were drawn for a cell house that could house up to 600 prisoners. When finished in 1912, the cell house was the largest steel reinforced concrete building in the world. It was the brainchild and pride of Major Reuben Turner, construction engineer and first commandant of the military prison. Central steam heat, skylights, and electric lights contributed to its reputation as a model modern facility. Like every other building project on Alcatraz, the construction of the cell house presented the engineers with a challenge. All materials and equipment had to be brought from the mainland on barges. Labor was largely provided by unskilled inmates. Also, mixing the concrete that was the main element of the building required fresh water, not naturally available on the island. This part here is kind of eerie, showing like someone is still sleeping or lying in a cell bed with all its amenities there. This is exactly how it looks like those days. There's even a guitar there. This has to be from a prisoner there before. Cell 14D is said to be the most haunted cell in the prison, and many people have claimed to feel a strange coldness while walking around the area, or even caught a glimpse of a spirit roaming around the premises. A prisoner was found strangled to death in his cell. The ghost of that prisoner now roams the area seeking revenge. Here's a look on the second and third floors of the cell house. The 3-story cell house included the 4 main cell blocks, the A block through D block, the Warden's Office, the visitation room, the library, and a barber shop. The prison cells typically measured 9 feet by 5 feet high. Here's another look of the prison cells, the 3rd floors right there. Here are pictures of some of the famous inmates here in Alcatraz. Some of the famous prisoners were Al Capone, Scarface. We have Joseph Bowers, the Dutch, Meyer Cohen, Mickey, and Robert Stroud as the Birdman of Alcatraz. Here are the stairs to go up to the 2nd and the 3rd floor. After the cell house, passing to the Times Square corridor is the Alcatraz dining hall or the mess hall. This is where the prisoners and staff ate their meals. Right here is the kitchen where the staff prepare the meals for the prisoners and for themselves as well. Our tour ends here in the old library, and now it's used for exhibits and all of this information about prison system in America. I love what it says in here. It is said that no one truly knows a nation until one has been inside its jails. A nation should not be judged by how it treats its highest citizens, but its lowest ones. It is actually quite an eye-opening for me, knowing that the U.S. has the largest number of prisoners per 100,000 of the national population. A staggering 500% increase over the last 30 years. Imagine that. Wow. And this is despite increasing evidence that large-scale incarceration is not an effective means of achieving public safety. Alcatraz has that reputation that you don't go to Alcatraz to be in prison. You're going there to suffer. I now have a more appreciation of the movie Escape from Alcatraz. Here are some of the rules inside the prison for the inmates. This next one got me hard. It says in here, you are entitled to food, clothing, shelter, and medical attention. Anything else that you get is a privilege. Wow. Done with the tour and we're going back to the dock to ride our ferry back to the city. A lot of questions in my mind. Are we shifting gears to treatment, prevention, and long-term public safety solutions? Are we investing in interventions that promote strong youth development and respond to delinquency in age-appropriate and evidence-based interventions? Are we removing barriers that make it harder for individuals with criminal records to reform and build their lives again? But I'm a dreamer and hopeful that this amazing and beautiful country of the United States of America will look at its prison systems, especially the justice system. And finally, whether you have time for a quick cell house tour or a longer island visit, there's even a night tour, Alcatraz has something to give you, the gifts of place of the past and of the American experience. Thanks for watching, and be kind, be loving, and be inspired. Bye-bye.